speaking with Peter Price, and we're going to discuss the digital transformation journey. So Peter, my first question is, can you talk about what does the digital transformation journey really mean?
Sure. And hi, Dustin. Thanks for inviting me. So that digital transformation journey, which is obviously impacting companies in all kinds of ways, in all types of businesses, is really at its heart about changing the business strategy at the level of the business model, the operations, the products, marketing, development, the objectives of the business, really every layer of the business through adopting digital technologies. We as a company are very focused on industrial types of businesses, and so we see certain trends in the context of this digital transformation journey in the industrial market, and businesses and power generation or manufacturing or aviation, all kinds of large industrial types of businesses. We see trends in certain areas. Certainly the core trend is obviously about machines and connecting machines, the industrial Internet of Things as it's known, and that's a core component. The huge investments going on in these businesses in terms of taking every aspect of the machinery in their businesses and connecting to those and gathering data from them. AI and robotics are another major trend in the context of the digital transformation journey for these industrial companies. And that's about efficiency. That's about driving efficiency through technology by using artificial intelligence, using robotics to improve the overall productivity of the business across all kinds of different ways in the plant, in the manufacturing environment, engineering, service improvements, and predictability. And there's this overall Industry 4.0 trend, which is providing a vision of the interconnected environment, whether that again be a factory or a plant or some other kind of industrial environment, where everything in that environment is online, everything is connected, and you're providing in some way intelligent ways of making decisions in those environments through connected real-time perspectives of the data that can impact the way that the business operates in real time through one end of its business processes to the other. So digital transformation, in summary, is really about a complete change of the business in the context of using digital technologies from one end of the business to the other, in the end with the core drive of increasing efficiency and speed of operation.
And what are users doing with the data?
Yeah, well, data is of course what it's all about. The volume of data grows exponentially. The numbers on this are obviously, there are all kinds of numbers. I read recently 20 billion devices connected by the end of this decade. I think 11 billion business devices over the next decade. So everything is connected. It's generating huge amounts of data, and the results are, of course, that there's lots of it, and the value of much of that data comes down to how it's used, and obviously a variety of different ways of using it. Analytics and providing business analysts with often mountains of data which they can use predictive analytic techniques on to help forecast the business in different ways, help adjust the business models in different ways, drive future strategies, kind of a backroom type of approach, if you like. The other side of it, of course, is the actionable side, where you have users that are much more at the operational end of the business. Somebody on the factory floor out in the field, driving trucks in the supply chain from one end of it to the other. And if you can know what's happening in those environments that you're working in, if you can see the status of equipment, if you can visualize the realities of the markets that you're operating in, then you can operate with greater productivity and efficiency. For example, if you can see your supply chain in real time, from the materials that are coming into your plant or your manufacturing process, all the way through that manufacturing process, out through the distribution network, into the warehouse environment, out again to the point of sale for whatever products it is that you're delivering or supplying. And maybe if you can correlate that to market factors, location services, weather, then you can adjust every point of your supply chain to drive much more efficient operations in your business. And the challenge, of course, in all of that is that the volume of data that can come at users needs to be organized in a way that I, as a user, in the context of my individual role, can have an impact on my business without being overwhelmed with that data. If I can do that, then the productivity impact of being able to visualize just the right information, the information that I need to help me be able to action something in the context of my real-time environment, my real-time context, then the productivity impact can be huge. If you can boil down, if you like, that fire hose of data, all of that information to helping me do what I need to do, then you can drive huge increases in productivity and in that way, impact revenues, profitability, every aspect of your business in a positive manner.
And
the challenge, of course, sorry, I was going to add.
Yep.
Sorry, do you want me to pause there, Dustin? You
yep.
Ask
sure.
a question.
I was going to say, how can companies enable users to get value from this data?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is the challenge. The challenge is, how do you do that? So you are gathering the data. That's good. You're investing in that digital transformation journey, and as a result, you are gathering a lot of information about what is going on in your business from one end of it to the other. The challenge is the how, if you like. How do I take all of that information and transform it into that way that it can have that productivity impact on the business? And that's about a further digital transformation journey. It's about how you can apply your traditional software development techniques to be able to provide information to different groups of users. The key to it is about responsiveness. It's about actionability. It's about simplicity. So you can always take, if you like, an army of software developers and give them a project and have them develop something, and in time they will produce what you need to have to be able to take advantage of the data in a particular kind of environment or application or set of circumstances. The challenge with that approach, of course, is it takes time and it costs money, and it's often a complex process that from a user's perspective, from an operational perspective, just loses value simply because of the cost and the investment and the time that elapses. So as we see this digital transformation journey evolving inside these companies, we also see a lot of innovation happening in simplifying the way that data can be rapidly interpreted and used. And that involves a number of things. Firstly, data resides in a lot of different places. It comes at you from a lot of different directions, and it's stored in a variety of different ways. So you need technologies that can easily connect to all kinds of different data sources. Those data sources might be traditional IT systems from major vendors like SAP or IBM or Oracle or Microsoft, or in an industrial environment, it's going to include, in addition to those traditional enterprise data sources, it's going to include data sources from operational technologies, where you have GE and Siemens and Rockwell gathering data from machines and storing it in historians and other formats, and now more recently in cloud-based systems. You need to be able to easily connect to those data sources. You have to have a seamless, simple connection to those data sources. And thankfully, there are a lot of standards that are developing around that to make that process simpler. But the key piece is, once you've got that data connection, you've got to be able to provide a rapid, simple way of generating the kind of visualizations and actionable responses to the data without it involving an army of software development resources that takes that time and costs that money. And there are a lot of ways of approaching that. The key to it is obviously about automating that as far as you can. If you can connect to the data, you can look at that data, you can generate the applications directly from that data without involving coding, then you're making a big step towards accelerating the benefits you can get from this data you're gathering in your digital transformation journey. And so certainly that no-code approach is very, very important. And then the other thing is dividing all this information up into the different types of personas. So the platforms that are supporting this process need to be able to say, well, I have this group of users who perform, this type of role. They're going at the same data, but they need to view that data in a different way to this other group of users that performs a different role and needs to get different value from that same data source. This is about creating dynamic persona-based applications where my login, my access to the system gives me views and visualizations of the data that are relevant to me, without having to wade through screens of information to try and find what it is that I want. And in that context also, another thing that you're looking for is a lot of user control over that visualization, a lot of user control over how I lay out that information on the screen in front of me, how I manage that information. Can I visualize it with certain types of charts or KPIs that I want to see without having to go back to my IT organization to generate those views? Can I mash up data from one data source with another to give me a view of the data that helps me order inventory in relation to incoming orders, see how much inventory I've got in relation to what my order stack is building up in my supply chain, and then manage my inventory in that real-time way? Can I do those kinds of data source manipulations and mashups that get me to the point of information that's gonna help me get my job done? And then, of course, devices. I might be someone who sits at my desk. I could be an engineer in the field. I could be, in a combination type role where I spend some time mobile, some by desk. I need to be able to so the platform around which you enable the visualizations and the actions around all that data that you're gathering through this digital transformation initiatives that you've taken needs to support the ability to deliver that information in any way that the user needs to interact with it. And then, perhaps finally, and not unimportantly, in fact, critically important, is the core enterprise grade requirements around doing all of this. So you want to simplify things, you want to get users involved, you want to enable them to be able to generate what it is that they need to see in a simple way without it involving, IT. You also need to do that in a secure way. You've got to do it in an available way. It has to fit into the core enterprise infrastructure, so that it can be enabled inside a corporation in a way that fits in with the standard IT processes that exist inside that company. So the summary of all of this is you gather this data to enhance your business productivity. You get volumes of that data, and you then need to enable that in the context of your users. It's not just about, it's certainly not least of which is about the users themselves and how they can benefit from that data. If you don't address, if you like, that part, that core user first part, if you like, then you're not going to get the value out of the digital transformation journey that you're taking. You have to address users and their individual needs, and you've got to put in place the infrastructure that enables you to do that. You're trying to, if you like, accelerate the journey to get to value. You want to reduce the amount of time that it takes you to get to value. That's the key deliverable, if you like, from getting on this journey, is reducing that time to value, and you have to have the right tools in place to do that in order to take advantage of the data at the user level.
Thanks, Peter, for sharing today. And can you provide a brief background of yourself?
Sure. Yeah. My own transformation journey has been through. I guess I'm a technology entrepreneur. I've taken a variety of different technologies, from AI technologies to real-time data mining technologies, through to this current business, Webalo, where we have a technology that actually sits between users and their devices and the back-end data sources that they need to interact with, and acts on behalf of those users to provide them with just the information that they need to be able to get their job done. So yeah, my own focus is around taking these technologies and applying them in the context of users and their productivity, to hopefully help them make their own journeys simpler.